Namaskar. Today we will discuss about the ecosystem services. Ecosystem services are the benefits that human being derived from the ecosystem. Ecosystem services encompasses ecosystem services, for example, regulation of water, and ecosystem goods, which, for example, food, fodder, fuel, which we get from different ecological processes. So, ecosystem services in a way are the benefits which human being gets directly or indirectly from the ecosystem through various ecological processes and ecosystem functioning. This also includes various tangible and intangible benefits that human beings derive from the ecosystem. Before understanding ecosystem services, we need to understand what is ecosystem and how its services are important for us. Ecosystem as a whole is planet's life support system. Ecosystem is an ecological system. It is made up of two words, eco, which means environment, and system is a unit, a complex, which is interdependent or interacting. This earth is populated by millions of species. These species, for their metabolism, they require energy. As in case of plant, they obtain the energy from sun, and through the process of photosynthesis, they convert light energy into organic compounds. Other organism, for example, animal, they get energy from other organism, either the process of phagocytosis, as in case of heterotrophs, and in case of saprotrophs, they get energy through decomposition. So, for their survival, the energy is most important. The second thing which is important for maintenance of ecosystem or for perpetuation of the biological unity is energy, nutrient and water. The second thing, nutrient, plant get nutrient from the water and animal get water from the standing or free water which is available in environment or from the food. So, in this way, there is an interactive system, there is an interdependent system in which different materials, elements and other nutrient flow in a cyclic manner, which is called nutrient cycling. So, they form an interactive system that is called ecosystem. So, A.G. Tensley, he has given the term ecosystem in 1935, and he defined ecosystem as abiotic community and biotic community. When interact with their physical environment, there is a flow of energy, there is a trophic structure, and there is a nutrient cycling which completes and make a ecosystem. So, in a nutshell, we can say ecosystem is a community of living organism which includes plants, animals and microbes in conjunction with the non-living component of the environment, like things like air, water, mineral, soil, etc. They interact with each other and form a system and form a complex. So, this ecosystem, if we see, there are different kind of ecosystem. Ecosystem is maybe a natural ecosystem. What is a natural ecosystem? Natural ecosystem is an ecosystem where there is very little interference by man occur. For example, terrestrial ecosystem. Terrestrial ecosystem is again of different kind. For example, forest ecosystem like rainforest, boreal forest, etc. Then grassland, for example, savanna, desert, etc. The second type of natural ecosystem is aquatic ecosystem or water open ecosystem. Aquatic ecosystem, again, it can be freshwater ecosystem or marine ecosystem. Freshwater ecosystem is, again, it may be river, pond, etc. So, when water is flowing, this aquatic ecosystem is known as lotic ecosystem or lotic aquatic system, and like pond and well, when water is stagnant, this is called lentic ecosystem. So, again aquatic ecosystem is lotic or lentic. Then there are marine ecosystem. Marine ecosystem, again, if it is slow water, it is shallow water or it is estuary. So, on the basis of this, it may be marine, ocean or estuary. Then the other type of ecosystem is artificial ecosystem, man-made ecosystem, man-engineered ecosystem. The prime example of artificial or man-engineered or human-engineered ecosystem is agroecosystem. In this man-made ecosystem, the energy inputs are given by man, the biodiversity is controlled by man. So, in a way, all the ecological processes and ecological functioning is controlled by man. That is why it is called a man-engineered or artificial ecosystem. For example, maize crops. In maize field, the diversity, that is monoculture of maize, is maintained by human being. The kind of fertilizer, the kind of pesticide that has been added by man is decided by man, and kind of diversity that exists over there, it is also decided by man or human being. So, it is controlled by man. So, all the processes are also controlled by man. So, the ecosystem, if you see the natural ecosystem or artificial ecosystem, in natural ecosystem it may be terrestrial or aquatic. Aquatic, again it may be lotic and lentic, and then marine and estuary, freshwater, marine and estuary. An ecosystem has abiotic and biotic component. If we are talking about the component of ecosystem, it has two components, abiotic component and biotic component. Abiotic components are non-living component. Non-living component are elements, for example, carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, hydrogen, sulfur. These are elements which makes the non-living component or abiotic component of ecosystem. Then there are inorganic compounds, for example chlorophyll, and organic compound like protein, carbohydrate. They makes the biochemical component of ecosystem. And the third is climate, climate of that particular region. So, the elements inorganic and organic compound and climate of that particular region makes the abiotic component of an ecosystem. Biotic component. Biotic component are living beings. The living organism of a particular area or living component of an ecosystem are biotic component. Biotic component again can be autotrophs or heterotrophs. Autotrophs are the organism, for example plant. With the help of sunlight or light energy, they can form the organic compound. They are called producer because they can synthesize complex organic compound. So, these are producers or autotrophs. Then heterotrophs. Heterotrophs are basically, they are macro consumers or micro consumers. Macro consumers are herbivores. Herbivores are the organism which feeds on producers. They take plant as a food, so they are herbivores. Micro consumers or decomposers, they decompose the organic material. For example, bacteria, fungi, etc. They are the decomposer or micro consumer of the biotic component. If we consider an earth as an ecosystem, it's a very giant ecosystem. So, it's very difficult to study its biotic component and abiotic component. So, this earth as an entire ecosystem is known as biosphere. For the ease of study, these biosphere is further categorized or further compartmentalized into different ecosystem like pond ecosystem, desert ecosystem, forest ecosystem, marine ecosystem, estuary ecosystem, so that the abiotic and biotic components can be studied in a very comprehensive manner. So, these all types of ecosystem, though they are separated in time and space, but their functional attributes are all interconnected. The different type of cycling of nutrient which is taking place, the flow of energy from sun, the kind of food chain or other functional aspect, they all are interconnected in all ecosystem. For understanding the ecological processes of an ecosystem, we need to understand the functional aspect of an ecosystem. So, functional aspect of an ecosystem, for the ease of study, I have taken three of the aspects: productivity of an ecosystem, food chains in an ecosystem, and energy flow in an ecosystem. First of all, energy flow in ecosystem. Energy flow in an ecosystem is always unidirectional. The sun is the main source of energy. The various plants, few photosynthetic bacteria, few chemosynthetic bacteria, they trap this energy and they through the process of photosynthesis they forms the organic molecule or then forms the ATP or other thing. So energy comes mainly from sun. How much energy we are getting from the sun and how much the plant are utilizing for photosynthesis. 34% of energy which is falling on the earth is revert back. 10% of the energy is absorbed by the ozone layer, and you can say that very little amount, 56% energy comes into the earth. From this 56% of the energy, only 1 to 5% energy is being used for the photosynthesis. In the photosynthesis also, then again the flow of energy is unidirectional. There is trophical level. All organisms are connected in a trophic level or food level. For example, producer, they trap the solar energy and forms the organic compound or food. These producers are then taken up by consumer. Consumers may be herbivores, omnivores, carnivores. Herbivores are those organisms which directly take food from plants. Then omnivores, they feed on plants as well as on animal, and carnivores that feed only on animal. So in each trophic level there is transfer of energy. In each level the transfer of energy is again unidirectional. From producer the energy never goes back to sun. From herbivores it never goes to producer. From carnivore it never goes to herbivores. So in each of the food level or in each of the trophic level there is loss of energy. The loss of energy for respiration or other metabolism activity. So there is always energy flow in one direction. If we talk about productivity of an ecosystem, the productivity of an ecosystem can be defined as the rate of production or rate of storage of organic matter. So productivity is again divided into primary productivity, secondary productivity and net productivity on the basis of producers and then consumers. Primary productivity is rate at which radiant energy of sun is stored by photosynthetic or chemosynthetic bacteria or activity of the organism. Rate at which radiant energy of sun is stored by photosynthetic or chemosynthetic activity of organism. The primary productivity is again divided into gross primary productivity and net primary productivity. Gross primary productivity is also known as total photosynthesis or total assimilation. This is the photosynthetic rate in addition to the respiration of the organism. The gross primary productivity is the rate of storage of organic material in excess of respiration. So if you see, primary productivity is the gross primary productivity plus net primary productivity. The secondary productivity refers, though the term is productivity, but it refers to the consumer level. It's in a sense, it's not a productivity because the consumers are not in a position to produce the food. They only use the organic material which is already produced by the producers or plant or chemosynthetic bacteria or other producers. This is the rate of storage of organic material. Then net primary productivity is the organic material which is left after the heterotrophic activity of the organism. So productivity of an ecosystem is very, very important as far as ecosystem services are concerned. Coming to the food chain in ecosystem, I was talking about the trophic level, the bottom level there are producer, then herbivores, carnivores, top carnivores. So there is a transfer of food energy from producer to herbivores to carnivores with a repeated eating and being eaten process. For example, in a grassland, the grasses are being eaten by a grasshopper. Then this grasshopper is eaten by a rat, or then rat can be eaten by a hawk. So there is transfer of energy from producer to consumer. So this is food chain. In an ecosystem, there are numerous food chains are simultaneously they are going together. For example, the same example which I have given, I will give again. In a ecosystem, there is one food chain, that is grass, grasshopper, rat and hawk. Then there may be grass, rabbit or hawk. Then there may be grass, grasshopper, snake or rat. So number of food chains or interlinking web of food chain, interlinking food chain is known as food web. What is the importance of food web? Food web are very important for maintaining the balance in an ecosystem. For example, if a component of a food chain, if a suppose a consumer or suppose a herbivores or carnivores is become extinct, if there is only one food chain, the entire ecosystem balance will be lost. But due to the presence of food webs, interlinking food webs, even a species become extinct, even number of species become extinct, the function of that ecosystem will take place due to other types of food chains. So these are the food chains and food web which maintain ecosystem balance, and they are very important for ecosystem services, ecosystem functioning and different type of ecosystem processes. The third important function of ecosystem is nutrient cycle in an ecosystem. There are different type of nutrient, for example elements, for example carbon, nitrogen, hydrogen, phosphorus, sulfur. They all move in ecosystem in a very cycling manner, not unidirectionally like energy, but they move in a very cyclic manner. These are also called biogeochemical cycle because of the processes, biological processes, geological processes and chemical processes that is taking place in an ecosystem. Hydrological cycle. Hydrological cycle is, though it's not an elemental cycle, because hydrogen is basically in the form of water, it is very important for any ecosystem services. The main reservoir of water is ocean, and the cycling of water takes place through evaporation from it and through precipitation into it. The wind, through evaporation, it brings rain, in hailstorms, snow, etc. into the earth, and which again through runoff it goes back to the ocean. Though polar ice caps are also a reservoir of water, but it does not take part in the hydrological cycle in such a manner. So, vegetation, land cover, that play a very important role in hydrological cycle by the process of transpiration and evapotranspiration or evaporation. Then carbon cycle. Carbon cycle, carbon mainly it's found in the form of carbon dioxide. The cycle we are discussing over here is in context with ecosystem services provided by the ecosystem. Carbon dioxide is found in the atmosphere through photosynthesis. It is converted into organic matter, and through respiration it again goes back to the atmosphere in the form of carbon dioxide. So it moves through photosynthesis and respiration by basically by plant. It is also found in the form of calcium carbonate and other fossil which is found in the geological scale which can be used, but basically the carbon dioxide which is a form which is cycles in this ecosystem. Then nitrogen. Nitrogen is very important cycle. The atmosphere, 78% of the atmospheric gas is made up of nitrogen. Nitrogen is found in the atmosphere. It is by symbiotic bacteria and certain algae. It is fixed, and This ammonia, through process of nitrification, it is converted into by nitrifying bacteria into NO2, then NO3, and by denitrification or denitrifying bacteria, again it goes back to atmosphere. So by the process of basically by bacteria, nitrifying bacteria, denitrifying bacteria, symbiotic fixation, this nitrogen cycle is maintained into the atmosphere. Then there are sedimentary cycle like phosphorus and sulfur. So these were the main ecosystem functioning which contribute to the ecosystem services: productivity of an ecosystem, then food chain in ecosystem, and then different type of nutrient cycle and flow of energy. Now coming to the type of ecosystem services. So ecosystem services, they are provided by the ecosystem. The services provided by the ecosystem can again be divided into 4 types of services: provisioning services, regulating services, cultural services, and supporting services. There are direct and indirect benefits of ecosystem. Direct benefits: food, fodder, fuel, pharmaceuticals, nutraceuticals, genetics, all these we know very well. Or the other benefits like cultural, recreational, ecotourism, we know. But there are indirect benefits that we are not that much aware or concerned. These are indirect benefits are more important in maintenance of ecosystem services, though they takes time. For example, formation of soil. All the food which we get is through soil, but we are not much concerned about how the soil is being made. So these are supporting services. Supporting services are the services which are necessary for all other ecosystem services, whether it is provisioning services, regulating services, or cultural services. So provision services are the services through which different type of product are obtained. Regulating services, as the name indicate, these are the benefits obtained from regulation of different type of ecosystem processes. And cultural services, these are non-material benefits obtained by ecosystem services and then supporting services. These are the provisioning services, for example, food and fiber and fuel, genetic resources which are important for animal breeding or plant breeding, biochemical, nutraceutical, medicines, natural product which are obtained by through various types of plant, ornamental resources like different type of flowers, skins of animal, etc., fresh water again which can be under regulation services also. Then regulating services, air quality maintenance, the ecosystem maintains the air quality, it absorbs the toxic, for example vegetation absorb the noise and toxic. Then climatic regulation in the large scale or in the small scale. In small scale by precipitation and temperature, in the large scale like greenhouse gases, water regulation, erosion control, the land cover control, the landslides, water purification and waste treatment, regulation of human diseases, biological control, pollination, storm protection. Then cultural services. Cultural services are numerous. These are cultural diversity, as we know that because of diversity there are cultural diversity. Because of diversity there are different type of spiritual and religious value which is associated with diversity, different type of traditional knowledge system, educational value. We study the ecosystem structure and function. Then inspiration for art, artist, folklore. It has aesthetic value, social relation, sense of place, cultural heritage value, recreation and ecotourism. Coming to the supporting services, as I have told you, supporting services are the services which are required for all type of services. For example, soil formation and retention, nutrient cycling, primary production, water cycling, production of atmospheric oxygen, provision of habitat. There is a strong link between biodiversity and ecosystem services, because biodiversity, changes in biodiversity affect the ability of ecosystem to supply services and to recover from the disturbances. So in a nutshell, to summarize the chapter summarize this module, I will say that ecosystem services are provided. These are the natural resources for basic survival such as clean air and water, a contribution to good physical and mental health, for example through access to green spaces, both urban and rural, and genetic resources for medicine, natural process such as climatic regulation or crop pollination, support for a strong and healthy economy through raw material for industry and agriculture, through tourism and recreation, social, cultural and educational benefits, and well-being and inspiration from interaction with nature, which we can divide all these into 4 categories: provisioning, regulating, cultural and supporting services. Thank you.